Hey everybody, this video is about my new single Lonely together with Jerome and how we actually made it. So the guys at Start On Music, they're very talented songwriters. They came up with this catchy top line which I liked a lot.
We could turn the darkness into light. You don't have to feel so lonely.
As you can hear, the original tempo was actually lower. In fact, this track in the beginning was meant to be a sort of slap house production. Let me play it for you.
Chase away the demons in our minds. We don't have to be.
This was the original demo. Sounds a bit rough. Anyway, I wasn't very happy about the direction, so I decided to start back from scratch and I brought it to 135 BPM. Here's the final project. As you can see, it's Cubase. Sometimes I use also Ableton Live or lately FL Studio to produce, but I've been using Cubase for a long time, so I'm definitely faster and most of my projects are actually built in here. So let's take a look at the main parts. Here's the vocals in yellow. Pretty simple. There's a lead vocal in the verses. When kick and bass eat, there's also a dub, and the lead vocal gets pitched one octave down.
We could turn the darkness into light.
I actually did it in Live and then re-imported in Cubase just because Live has a better algorithm for that. And then some effects in the build-ups, and that's it. Let's take a look at the group. I'm gonna be showing you how the vocals are actually processed. I use a bunch of plugins. They're all from Waves. I love Waves plugins. You know, when it comes to mixing and compressing vocals, they're super. At the top of the chain, there is this Chris Lord LG effects. This is super useful also if you want to create weird effects on vocals. Then there's the Greg Wells voice centric, adding a bit of space and a little reverb. Maserati, this guy is super important because it adds the vocal a nice analog distortion. At the bottom of the chain, there's this Budge Fig vocals, but I used it only for limiting a little bit.
Chase away the demons in our minds. We don't have to be so lonely.
Here's the difference. Let's talk about kick and bass now. It's kind of weird because, well, I did this production during the lockdown. I was far away from my studio. I had no speakers with me, only my earphones. I remember there was this bootleg I had made some time ago and I was playing it in my sets, and I remember kick and bass were sounding very big, very bouncy, very round. So what I did is just copy paste it in the new project, you know, just to make sure of the final result. And let me solo the bass. I read some comments on YouTube. Some people say this bass is taken from Kashmir sample pack. And it's not. Well, I love Kashmir sample packs. I use it like everybody else, I guess. And I also used a few samples here in this project, like little fills and sweeps and effects, but not the bass. The bass is from Nexus 3. Well, I usually use Serum for my bass lines, just because you can shape your own sound and make it more unique. While with Nexus 3, you have to stick with the presets. But when you find the one that fits, why not? I mean, you don't have to play around with it a lot because Nexus presets are already well compressed. In fact, I just added a little compression with a multiband compressor, mid-bass area, and a little bit of saturation with filter Saturn. And then there's a couple of layers made with Serum, 1 and 2. Together with the bass, to make it a bit more dirty. And all the basses plus the kick are grouped, and I added a little compression just to glue the sound together. Threshold is very low, minus 2.6 dB. Fast attacks, low release, not to lose the transients. That's it. Oh wait, there's 2 extra layers in the shuffled part. You see, this is the main bass. Then there's this guy here, which goes on the kick with heavy sidechain, of course. And to create the rolling shuffled bass effect, there's a sequence bass. Let me solo it. Okay, let's move to the vocal chop. It's 4 layers here. First layer is a portion of the actual vocal of the song. Just cut and pitched to follow the melody. Then there's a couple of layers coming from Nexus again. By the way, Nexus is a couple of very useful libraries for these vocal chop things. It's called EDM Voices. You're gonna find a lot of very useful presets for that. The fourth layer is actually a lead. It's made with Jerome. Let me play it for you. This one is very important. I like it a lot because you see it's very brassy and gives the drop sound a sort of techno vibe. I'm gonna show you quickly how I made it. Let's start from initial preset. Let's start from this saw wave here, and we add more voices. Then switch on oscillator B. Let's do the same. Let's pitch it 1 octave up. Go to the envelope here, reduce the sustain. Switch on the filter section, both the oscillators. Let's wrap this one here on the cutoff. Okay. Then I'm gonna add a couple of effects like distortion in the first place. Here, I like tube distortion, just boost the drive a little bit. Then I'm gonna add a little chorus. Delay. A reverb. That's it. At this point, I sent this first draft to Jerome. He liked it a lot, and so we started sending MP3s and stamps back and forth. He helped me out in finalizing the song, all the arrangements and so on. There is also another guy involved. He's a very talented producer. His name is Wallaby, and he helped me out with drums in the second verse, for example. The rest is pretty standard. It's effects, some white noises and fills, and yeah. Maybe let's take a look at the mastering chain. As you can see, it's very minimal, not a lot of stuff. For those who are familiar with Cubase, Cubase is an internal native algorithm for limiting, which is very powerful. It works pretty well. So I just added a little EQ to cut the extreme low end and high end, a little bit of compression to glue everything together. Okay, this one is to boost the high frequencies because there were some high frequencies missing. And then there's a brick wall limiter, but it's minus 0.2 dB. It's just to prevent digital clips. That's it.